and I'm very grateful that he agreed to share his paper. He took a class of mine that's actually a research methods and study design class. And for the project at the end, they were allowed to pick any topic that they wanted and design an experiment and do the model for. So he decided to do something that was actually very helpful to the university and look at the program that we've changed to look at our developmental math to kind of get kids up to speed when they come into JSU a little behind in math. So this is a very interesting project and very useful, and it's also been used for some of our policy decisions as far as placement goes. So I'm very pleased to introduce my student, Dana Smith.
Thank you. Good morning. Let's see if I know how to run this thing right. Oh, yes. Okay. So we're looking at the MS 112 class, which is the pre-calculus algebra class. Not sure of the number of students that take that, but probably around half, if not a little bit more. It's one of the more important classes we teach. Over the years, we've had problems with making sure students that get in there can actually pass it. So it's a very difficult course for a lot of students. So we used to use the ACT Compass, but that wasn't really designed for placement. So we went to some kind of system looking for placement. And what we've gone to is the NROC Ed-Ready Placement Test. This is a two-stage procedure. First of all, they take the placement test, and if they score at least a 70, they get placed into 112. If they make less than a 70 on the placement test, there's a study path they can take and work through. Once they hit 70 on that, then they can get into 112. Okay? So the question was, does the pass rate in 112 depend on which method they get there, straight from placement or through the study path? So we have some possible biases. So didn't memorize this. Let me look at it real quick. So we only have data from 1 year. The Ed-Ready placement test parameters have changed over time, so we have to look at that. 112 is taught by a lot of different instructors. Depending on who you get, depends on how they teach it. And then even within teaching with one instructor, I teach it differently from semester to semester, trying to figure out a better way of getting people to pass. Fall versus spring. I tend to see a difference in level of students between fall and spring, so that's another bias that can come up. Section numbers. So you kind of assume the better students are getting into the lower section numbers because they're more serious or they at least register earlier than the other students. And then we had transfer and pilot students that were we had data for, that we had to throw them out. Alright, so if we look at this, we have our two categories of placement test or study path. We had 79% of people got to 112 through the study path. 20% got in through the placement test. The other 116 students that we have here was the transfer and pilot students. So we threw those out. If we look at pass rates, a pass rate with a C or higher, we can see that we had 82% of people pass with a C or higher, and actually with a D or higher, we had 92%. So I need to talk about the dependence versus independence. So suppose you have two categories, male and female, and we're talking about right-handed and left-handed people. If being right-handed or left-handed was independent of being male versus female, and you had 100 people, you would, under the right conditions, expect 25 to be in each of those categories, right? So 25 males would be right-handed, 25 left-handed, same with females. So if it was dependent, so I chose male and female. I don't know if y'all can see this very well. So male versus female and beard versus beardless. So just kind of making stuff up that kind of makes sense. We'd expect 50% of men to be bearded and 0 females to be bearded and vice versa. So the right situation that I was referring to is, of course, not everybody's right-handed versus left-handed of equal percentage. So I think it's 80% are right-handed-ish, 20% left-handed. So we have to adjust for that, and that's called the expected count. So we can look at that here. So a chi-square test is used to determine whether two categorical variables are dependent or independent. So right here we're checking to see if passing with a C depends on the placement method. And the null hypothesis is that passing 112 with a C or greater is independent of how you placed in there. So we can see that we have 39 students that got into the class of the study path and failed. 7% failed that got there through the placement test. 205 study path, passed, 56 failed. The number below that, the 36.56, is what you would expect from these numbers to be in the study path and to have failed if this is independent, and same for all the other numbers. So when you do this, the analysis, what we found was a p-value of 0.32, and that means we failed to reject the null hypothesis, which indicates that it's independent of how you got into the 112 class as to whether you passed or failed. So we also did this with passing with a D, and we also found that that p-value is 0.46. So again, passing is independent of how you got there through either the study path or through the placement. All right. So our conclusion was that it doesn't matter how you get there. The pass rate's going to be the same whether you got there through the study path or through the placement test. We need, of course, to do this study some more as we get more students, more data, gives you a better idea of what's going on. And that would be it. So.